This video is about to review 4 polynomial functions. Consider the graph of a function f. Define this. Given that x equals -1 is a zero of a multiplicity of 2. Factor the polynomial and then find all the zeros of f. First of all, we got to do synthetic division. Remember, for synthetic division, root in the corner, no missing power. Therefore, -1 is the root. We use -1. Check whether there is a missing power in this polynomial function. We good. So we list up all the coefficients. 2, 4, -1, -6, -3. We got here's 2. -1 times 2, -2, adding 2, multiply -2, adding -3, multiply 3, adding -3, multiply 3, adding, that's 0. Then we do -1 again. The reason for that is a multiplicity of 2, which means you have a factor x plus 1 squared. Therefore, you can do synthetic division twice for this -1. So we got the 2, multiply -2, adding 0, multiply 0, add -3, multiply 3, you got, this is a 0. Then check the leading term, x to the 4th power. Since you did twice synthetic division, therefore we got x to x, then -3. So we can write down the factor from here. Remember, x minus c is a factor, which means x plus 1. From here, we got x plus 1. This is another factor. Therefore, it equals x plus 1 times x plus 1 times 2x squared. This is 0x. Do not write down. That's -3. Since 2x squared minus 3, we cannot factor anymore. So we can put x plus 1 squared, then 2x squared minus 3. This will be the answer for factor this polynomial. For B, find all zeros of f. We set up the first factor equals 0. We got the x equals -1. Then we need to set up this one. 2x squared minus 3 equal to 0. This is a power pattern equation. Therefore, isolate the variable on one side. We got 2x squared equals 3 divided by 2. So we got x squared equals 3 over 2. Then you need to do square root both sides. Therefore, we got plus or minus square root of 3 over square root of 2. Then you need to simplify. Because for this square root of 2, you can write down square root of 2 over 2. Therefore, it equals plus or minus. Denominator is 2. Square root of 3 times the square root of 2. So we got answer plus or minus square root of 6 over 2. Therefore, for roots, we can write down x equals -1 and a plus or minus square root of 6 over 2. Now let's go to B. Consider the graph of function f defined by fx equals this polynomial function. Given that x equals 1 over 2 is a 0 and x plus 1 is a factor, we need to factor the polynomial first and then find all zeros of f. Since 1/2 is a zero, therefore we do the synthetic division for this 1/2. Make sure no missing power, therefore we got 2, 1, 5, 3, -3. Bring down this 2. Multiply by 1/2 means divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Adding is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Adding 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Adding 6. 6 divided by 2, 3. Adding, that's 0. Then check the root in the corner. Do you have a denominator? If you do have denominator, you need to divide it by denominator first. So we got the 1, 1, 3, 3. Then go to next root. X plus 1 is a factor. We've solved for root x equals -1. So we got -1. Get 1. Multiply -1. 0. Multiply 0. 3. -3. We got 0. Then check the leading term. X to the 4th power. Since we did twice synthetic division, therefore we got x squared, x, and a constant number. Therefore, the factor 1/2, we got the x minus 1/2. But the factor we will write down, bring this 2 to the front. 2x minus 1. For this factor, you will get x plus 1. Remember, always x minus c is a factor. Therefore, f of x equals 2x minus 1, x plus 1. And over here, that is x squared. 0x is gone, plus 3. Since x squared plus 3, we cannot factor. That's the factor for this polynomial function. The root, we got the x equals 1/2 and a -1 already. For x squared plus 3, we set up equal 0. Since this is a power pattern equation, isolate x squared equals -3. Then we do square to both sides. Remember, plus or minus. So we got the x equals plus minus. When we get this negative sign, we will get I. Then square root of 3. That's your answer. We can write down plus or minus square root of 3i. Remember, this I is outside this square root. This is all roots for this polynomial. Now let's go to C. F of x equals x to the 5th power minus 9x third minus x squared plus 9. We know x minus 1 is a factor and a 3 and a -3 are the roots. Factor the polynomial completely and find all the zeros. First, we do synthetic division for this polynomial. Since x minus 1 is a factor, we got x equals 1. When you do the synthetic division, remember root in the corner. So we put the 1. When you list all the coefficient of this polynomial, remember no missing power. So we have 0x to the 4th power here. Then we have 0x. Now we list all these coefficient 1, 0, -9, -1, 0, and 9. We got 1, multiply 1, adding 1, multiply by 1, Then it's a negative 8 multiply negative 8. We got negative 9. Negative 9 adding negative 9. Negative 9. So we got 0 here. Then second root is a 3. Drop down 1. 3 adding 4. 12. Adding 4. 12. Adding 3. 9. We got 0 again. Then we do negative 3. So we get the 1, negative 3, 1, negative 3, 1, negative 3. We got 0. Check the leading term. This is x to the 5th. Since we did 3 times synthetic division, therefore 5 minus 3, that's x2, x plus 1. This will be the factor. Therefore, f of x equals, write down the factor form. From here, we got x minus 1. From here, we got x minus 3. Here, we got x plus 3. Therefore, we get x minus 1, x minus 3, x plus 3, x squared plus x plus 1. For this quadratic function, it cannot be factored. Therefore, this is the factor form for this polynomial function. For the root, we got 1, 3, negative 3. We need to solve for x squared plus x plus 1 equal to 0. Since we cannot factor this quadratic function, you have to use synthetic division to solve for x. We got a equals 1, b equals 1, c equals 1. Therefore, x equals negative b, that's the opposite of b, negative 1 plus or minus b squared, that means 1 squared minus 4ac over 2a. Therefore, we got negative 1 plus or minus square root negative 3 over 2. We know negative sign in the square root we can change into I, so we got negative 1 plus minus square root of 3i over 2. Therefore, for all the roots, we add negative 1 plus minus square root of 3i over 2. Now let's talk about long division. When you deal with long division, remember no missing power for both numerator and denominator. Then divide means the first term divide. When you do subtract, we do change the sign adding, much easier. Therefore, since for numerator and denominator, no missing term, so we go to this long division pattern. 9x third power minus 8x squared minus x plus 6 divided by x squared minus x plus 3. Divide means the first term divide. So we write down over here 9x third power divided by x squared equals 9x. 9x. Then drop down 9x third power, because when you multiply by these two, you will get that. Then go to multiplication, negative x times 9x, that is negative 9x squared. 3 times 9x, that's positive 27x. Remember, we change sign adding. This is minus. This is plus. This will be minus. Then add. The first term always gone. So we get the x squared. -1 minus 27, that is minus 28x. Then drop down, plus 6. We do divide again. This time, first term is x squared. Divided by x squared equals to 1. So I plus 1. Then drop down this x squared. Then we keep doing this multiplication. Negative x times positive 1. You get the negative x. Positive 3 times positive 1, that is positive 3. So change sign adding. You will get negative 27x plus 3. Therefore, we can write down the solution as 9x plus 1 plus negative 27x plus 3 over x squared minus x plus 3. If you want to get rid of this negative sign, you have to change the sign to the top like this. Put the negative sign over here. Then your top, you have to turn into 27x minus 3 over x squared minus x plus 3. In order to stop the mistake, we just keep this. Just add the remainder over divisor. Now let's go to B. For long division, remember, no missing power for both numerator and denominator. This time you have a missing power for numerator and denominator. We set up long division. We got x squared plus 0x plus 5. 8x third power minus 4x squared plus 0x plus 7. Divide means the first term divide. So we get 8x third power divided by x squared equals 8x. So we got the 8x here. When you do multiplication, the first term will be the same. Therefore, we got the 8x third power. Then do multiplication. 0x multiplied by 8x, that is 0x squared. Then we do 5 times 8x, that is positive 40x. Then remember, change the sign. Adding. So we got negative 4x squared minus 40x. Then drop down this 7. First term, you will get negative 4x squared over x squared. That is negative 4. So negative 4. Still, the first term the same. Negative 4x squared. Then multiply 0x times negative 4, still 0x. Then positive 5 times negative 4 minus 20. Change the sign adding. The first term always gone. So we get negative 40x plus 27. Therefore, we can write down the solution. 8x minus 4 plus negative 40x plus 27 over x squared plus 5. Or you can write down 8x minus 4 minus 40x minus 27 over x squared plus 5.